Okay. Welcome, Mr. Zulu, um, to a Zoom video with a difference. If you don't know, it's day 28 of the lockdown. Um, I'm not sure if you're counting down the hours or minutes or how you're keeping your sanity, but how has it been in quarantine for you?
It's actually been, oh, well, obviously, um, it's been tough. It's not ideal, but it's been bearable. Um, I wouldn't say, I'm fortunate in that the stuff that really excites me it just has a lot to do with my job. So I think I've developed quite a lot over the last bit. So I've just used this time I'm not much of a reader, so not a lot of reading, but
Mm.
definitely in terms of documentaries, in terms of series that are very sports related, but different sports. I've been learning about different leadership styles from different codes, so it's been very rewarding in terms of that, and just a time out. I mean, I can't remember the last time I had an Easter where I wasn't at a rugby tournament of some sort. So in terms of that, it is what it is. I can only control the controllable. So um, it's been, with a bit of a mind shift. It's been good.
Mm. And I think obviously a lot of our students and our staff and our boys and our coaches, there's obviously been a lot of good introspection in terms of reevaluating your goals, because obviously we don't know what's ahead. So all your goals and all your ambitions kind of have to be reworked, so to speak, and you have to try and find a way to motivate yourself to get something out of 2020. So for
Yeah,
me, most importantly, it's obviously you have to be hopeful and you have to be positive and you have to make sure that whatever happens, we still make sure that we do everything in our power to help the boys move forward. And I think for us coaches, like you said, watching a lot of these documentaries is obviously hugely beneficial, and you can get inspiration pretty much from anywhere. It doesn't have to be a sporting documentary. But
yeah,
the wealth of and growth, especially in leadership, yeah, there's a plethora of information out there. So I know I did watch Justin Langer and his documentary about the test, him taking over that cricket team after I think
yeah,
Darren Lehman left. And it was interesting to just see him go about his business and some of his leadership style. Obviously, being an Australian great in the past, hugely influential part of that great Australian cricket team of the 2000s, I think.
yeah,
What was a huge takeout for you? For me, just personally watching that documentary, um, just watching the way he doesn't sugarcoat things. He tries to be honest enough with his team, and he doesn't hide his emotions when he's feeling different things, which I think is a good thing as a coach to be that transparent, because we all are human. We're all trying to do our best um, to help our sporting teams, especially coaches. But there will be
yeah.
times where you feel the pressure and the stress. So, from your point of view, what was something you learned from Justin Lang in that docu series?
Yeah, firstly, I really loved it, and I really enjoy his style of leadership. It really resonates with me. I did enjoy, like you saying, I enjoyed that he's not scared to wear his heart on his sleeve, and I think it's important that we don't sometimes. Sometimes I believe that um, as coaches we need to hide our emotions. For example, if we've got a big game and I'm nervous, I try not to transfer that energy to the players. But if I'm disappointed or not happy with the session or our standards, and I always talk about one standard, gold standard. If I feel that we're not on that gold standard, then it's important that I articulate that, and I think it's important that you always honest with your players, because then when when you do give them compliments, or when you are positive in terms of, well done guys, I'm really happy with the standards, then they can really take that from where it comes, as opposed to just, coach is always happy anyways. So it is important to be very honest in your assessments of where you think you are as a team. What I love the most, though, out of that whole documentary was how he taps into his former teammates. I mean, to have Pontings and Steve Wars, though that's Gilchrist, those guys, that's a wealth of knowledge, and those are guys that know Australian cricket. So to be able to tap into them is amazing. And the fact that he doesn't have an ego to say it's my team or it's my time, I think I really, really love that, because I mean, you see some coaches, and I've worked and played under coaches who are very much, I'm the head coach, it's my opportunity, and then you lose a lot. But you've got to think about your players and what the knowledge that, and the what they're going to gain from working with former Australian captains, former incredible batsmen, bowlers, incredible people. So yeah, I really love how he's not too proud or too big to bring in people that have different skill sets, that are legends of the game of Australia. So he was really good for me.
And I think he's kind of created a culture of enjoyment as well. And, as elite sportsmen, and you obviously coached the first team, and you coached obviously elite rugby players in your time. To find that balance where you understand that you have to be professional and you have to keep improving and extracting your potential, but to also have that side of you where you can let your hair down, so to speak, and you can smile and you can give yourself the high fives. I think it gets your players wanting to come back to practices, which is important, especially on those days when maybe the players are tired, they've had a hard game on the weekend, and you got to get their energy levels up, which is not always a easy task with a group of, especially rugby players. It could be any sporting team for that matter. So for you, what's important in terms of getting that balance? What's something that's worked for you in terms of creating a balance between professionalism and obviously growing your sportsmen and your kids, and also the other side of the coin, that enjoyment factor where it smiles on faces and they can allow a little bit of their flair and their personality to be showcased in a training session?
I think the key to that is the intensity, and the enjoyment has to be matched. So it's all good that we're having a good time, and we there's smiles and there's high fives, which is stuff that I love, but the intensity has to be at a level where we can see that there's a marriage between the fun and the professionalism. But a lot of coaches have the belief that if you're laughing and smiling too much, then you're sort of not being professional and not getting the most out of the session. But I believe the best learning happens when you're having fun. So for me, that the relationship between those two things is really, really important.
Okay. No, I think I have to agree with you. Obviously, not all coaches get it right, and not a lot of them can read the team's cohesion and what they're feeling. So it takes a little bit of emotional intelligence at times to just gauge on where your squad is. Maybe they need a harder session. Maybe they need a lighter session. Maybe they need something in between. Maybe they don't even need a rugby ball for that session. So you can get quite creative in terms of what you want to do. But I think understanding your team and understanding what gets them ticking and understanding their emotional cues is obviously very important. If I could rewind now, obviously you've had a decorated coaching career now. Obviously you were a provincial rugby player, played junior levels at the Lions. So you've been both player and now coach. And I know how much you love coaching. It's your absolute passion. If you could go back to the start of your career, when you was to the infancy of Jabs' coaching career, what is something you could have told yourself then that you know now?
At the time when I started, I was a student
Mm,
at UJ, and I was studying, and my cousin said to me, "Do you not want a job to come and coach on this to come and coach on the side between your playing and your studying?" And I thought, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. And when I started, it was just that. It was a lot of fun, and it was refreshing to see the other side of it from being a player. Um, it was just I didn't spend much time on it, so it was I'd go on a Tuesday to training, and I'd 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 quickly just set up drills in my head, and there we go, we were sorted. I wouldn't at that time. I didn't see myself becoming a coach, and at the level that I'm at now. And definitely the amount of time that it takes to set up sessions, to plan, to analyze, to the amount of time I spend in my head. I might wake up during the night. Oh, maybe if I do this, or if I tweak that, or um, time spent developing myself. Not that it's something I would have foreseen and thought, oh, I don't want to coach, but it's a lot more time consuming than I ever thought it would be, but
mm.
in a good way. So I think that would be the big one.
Okay, cool. And in terms of your coaching career, what has been the most defining memory for you along the way, along your journey?
I think there's been quite a few things, but I think the biggest moment for me was I think I learned a lot from disappointment, where at a point I felt my rugby career sort of not going anywhere, and I felt a bit um, disappointed and disillusioned. And I think it's something that maybe quite a few coaches go through if you have ambitions. Um, and I think it was at that time I looked for other jobs. I was looking to stop coaching. Through studies, I'm a journalist, and I was looking. Um, I have a degree in that, so I was looking to get back into that. Um, but I'm very grateful that that came as a result of I felt that I was saying the right things. I had all the right knowledge, and I felt like I was ready to step up to the next level. But after that, that's when I realized that, you know what, nothing is guaranteed. I'm saying all the right things, but I might not have gotten the gone up the ladder and gotten the positions that I want to. So let me just try, perhaps, let me try and be authentically me, and just do it, speak, speak as with an open heart, with vulnerability. Let me just completely show my players who I am. Let me have fun. Let me embrace every moment. Let me really place a premium on fun and enjoyment, and just grow people. And ever since I made that decision, and ever since that disappointment, I think um, my career and my philosophy and my impact on the kids and the players that I work with has improved immeasurably. That's probably the thing I'm most grateful for, is that I had that disappointment, and I had to go from that point of seeing that the coach that I thought is the coach that gets elevated in rugby is not necessarily the coach that I want to be. And when I became free in knowing that I don't have to say the right things and do the right things as a coach to become recognized, that was the best thing ever.
Probably the next question I want to ask you is, who has been the most beneficial people for you in your life that have helped you mold yourself in your coaching career?
Um, I say I was very fortunate. Um, the There's three guys at the top of my head who played probably the biggest role. One was my coach when I was at the Lions, um, Timmy Goodwin. Once I stopped playing and then I started to go into this coaching thing, He really invested a lot of time in me, um, especially very much about the structures and game plans and things like that. And there's another guy, Bafana Ntlego, who's now the SA under 20 coach. He really also, in fact, he would send me his team weekly meetings or weekly schedule when he was coaching the Lions and the 21 team, and I would go almost all the sessions, and there would be times where I'd be standing at a distance listening, and he would call me while he was busy talking to his players. He'd say, "Jabs, you can't hear anything from there. You got to come closer." Or he'd say, "Jabs, do you have anything to say?" And that was, to me, that was like, oh, all these really, in that group there were players like James Fenter, who's now playing for the Super Rugby for the Sharks. They had quite a good team. There was a few other guys, but just to be able to watch the professionalism, to be able to discuss and question right there on the spot every day for the whole Currie Cup campaign of about 4 or 5 months, that was invaluable stuff. And we would, after that, then we would go to his office and we'd have coffee and we'd have chats, and I'd grill him, and we would be chiseling and refining this. What about that? And what if I did this? And what if I did that? And I felt in that 5 months, the amount of stuff that I learned was incredible. So the two of those guys taught me a lot in terms of as a coach, in terms of strategies, tactics, things to look for there. Then a guy in England called Alistair Worth, who was a head of sports at a school called Quags, Queen Elizabeth Grammar School. He played a big role in I think, which was a big part that I didn't even. I just thought, now I have a lot of knowledge of rugby knowledge, so I'm a good coach. But he showed me the way of presenting to kids. Part of my philosophy now is big on empowering kids and being a coach that draws information out of the kids. And that wasn't something that came naturally to me. That was something where I once did a session in England, and Alistair recorded me, and he said, "What do you pick up from your session?" And I said, I think it was a good, without sounding arrogant. And he said, no, but what about your style of delivery? What would you say about your style of delivery? And I said, oh, I don't know. I think it's okay. And he said, okay, but how many questions do you ask? And he said one of the best things that I'll never forget it. He said, Jabs, it's very clear that you know a lot of rugby, but understand that when you answer the questions, you show how clever you are. And when you allow the kids to answer the questions, and when you ask them questions, you allow them to show you how clever they are. And when they show you how clever they are, they gain so much confidence from that, and they'll never forget because it was their idea. You need to ask more questions. You need to engage more with your players. You need to do. So he would do a lot of stuff where we'd do a drill, and then he would stop the drill, and then he says, out of 10, just using your fingers, what would you rate yourself? What would you rate your energy? What would you rate your execution of the drill? Or, guys, can you just huddle up and have a chat about the strategy? Where are you going to go from here? Or he'd say, from now on, we're not going to speak. Everybody keep quiet. Only so-and-so is allowed to speak, or nobody's allowed to speak. Or even there was a session where we pitched up, and he just said, all right, guys, take the session. I'm just here just as a supporting aid. Normally we do that in a captain's run, but he would do that sometimes in a session. Or we would hide and pretend that we are late and see who are the guys that are responsible and taking the lead and doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. So for me, I'd never seen that level of empowerment in terms of him really testing these guys and giving them the opportunity to lead themselves. And I really, once I started to take that on, and it became more natural to me, I've seen so much value in that sort of leadership, especially as a coach in school. It might mean that you lose some games because the players are making a lot of decisions for themselves on the field. But long term, I would love for for that player to say, you know what, coach, I'm so much more comfortable. I make decisions on the field, and you don't. It's not. I call it PlayStation rugby, where the coach is almost holding the PlayStation and he's dictating the plays. When my players say to me, coach, we love that you're not a PlayStation coach, that's probably one of the best things. It means that it's really nerve-wracking at times, but I know that they can go and play the rugby that they want to play, and it's their game. I'm just there as a sounding board. That's really key.
And I think we would have experienced, obviously, a lot more frequently when we were growing up, especially in my career, that archaic style of you make sure you do the certain amount of requirements to execute the game plan, and you make sure that you have to tick these boxes in the game. And I think by empowering the kids and the people you coach, because ultimately you cannot be there on the field with them. So when it's time to be on the field, they need all their confidence and they need to bind together as a team to execute. And by allowing them to have a voice in the week and allowing them to be empowered by doing video sessions or hosting micro meetings with different, say, backline players, forwards or centers and wings, then you allow them to grow that confidence, because they will know in a game they are responsible for what happens. As much as they hope their coach can come down there and save the day, it's not possible. So I definitely agree with you on that point of view. It reminds me a lot of Brad Moore, who I've spoken to you quite a bit about. He coached me at the Kings in 2013, and he had a short stint at the Sharks. He came down for about 2 months and helped us there as well. Then obviously he won 3 Super Rugbies with the Crusaders recently, and now he's a Scarlets head coach. But he had just the most magnificent way of making...
Just a correction, Waylon, he's the All Blacks coach now. He's the attack coach.
Okay, there. So I stand corrected. And I have him on Facebook, so he's probably going to send me a direct message. But yeah, so he had that habit of getting you excited to come to training sessions, always keeping you motivated, always giving you confidence on the field. He took that pressure off you, and he never closed himself off from ideas. So it's never like it was a dictatorship. He always wanted to learn. He always wanted to draw inspiration from his players. So I think that model as a coach, and obviously I'm saying obviously he was a nice mixture in terms of how the Crusaders went about their business. And obviously why they have been so successful, because winning 3 Super Rugbies in a row is impossible by this day and age standards, you know. So having a person like that within a team environment is only going to benefit you. And I think more and more coaches are understanding the benefits of allowing their players to find a voice and to gain that confidence, and trying to get them to get that belief in themselves, so that when game day does come, it kind of becomes automatic. Things start falling into place. And that synergy between the team and the coaching staff, everything kind of meshes together as one. So I think more and more coaches are understanding the importance of that style of coaching, and obviously moving away from maybe an archaic prototype of coaching maybe 2 decades ago. So I think from that point of view, it's obviously it's exciting to see how these kids have a lot of confidence. When I was at school, I never had near the amount of confidence I see your first team rugby boys walking around and talking, and you know, just the way they present themselves. So they obviously have that air of confidence about them, and it obviously shows on the field, because you obviously don't want to keep them bogged down. You want them to showcase who they are as individuals, obviously for the betterment of the team. You've spoken about coaches that have obviously that have molded you into the type of coach you are. If there's any coach you would love to meet that you haven't met, who is someone um, that would interest you or you'd love to have a dialogue with if you had the opportunity?
Specifically rugby.
I suppose it doesn't really matter. Like we said, we can get inspiration from anyone. So, I
Yeah,
mean, we spoke about Justin Langer early on, and we loved
yeah.
watching him from a cricket aspect, how he went about his business. But I suppose, yeah, you are open to choose whoever you want around the world or
Sure.
locally.
Um, so you're gonna love this one, but Jurgen Klopp is definitely up there.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I think as a player I responded to a coach who really made me feel good and was like I think we speak about love languages, and I think one of my love languages is words of affirmation. And I think coaches that gave me those words of affirmation and made me feel like I was an important member of the team, I was willing to do anything for those coaches. And I think that comes a lot, a coach who has a lot of passion and he's kicking every ball on that field with his players, and he's there with them. He comes with a level of energy. For me, I really love that in Klopp.
Mm.
And you can see when his games end and how he runs onto the field and he hugs and he high fives his coach, his players. And some people have told me no. Many coaches have told me, Jobs, that's unprofessional. You mustn't go and hug your players, or you mustn't high five them. There must be that that distance between you and the players. They mustn't see you as a mate. You need to be the coach, and I respect their opinions. But for me, one of the big things for is that I need to be able to tap in, and the players need to know that I'm their biggest supporter. I drive them really hard, um, but I love them really hard, and I support them really hard. And I think that's what enables me. Same with Justin Langer. That's what enables me to be able then to be really honest with them and have those frank conversations,
Mm.
because they know I'm coming from a really, really good place where I really, really love them and I'm their biggest supporters. But when they don't meet those standards, and not because they're dropping the ball, but maybe if they're just going through the motions or they become complacent, then they know that I'm gonna give them a hard time about that. So for me, showing that love and being vulnerable and with them and being authentic and true and wearing your heart on your sleeve. I really like that about Jurgen Klopp. I like. I know you said one coach, but I love Eddie Jones as well. I think he's a master tactician. He's really good. But one last guy that I'd like to add in that equation as well is Razor Robertson from the Crusaders. I think he's amazing as well. And his story, he's severely dyslexic, and so when he presents to his team, a lot of the stuff is not so much in writing. He's not that type of guy. He's about pictures and stories, and that really appeals to me. How he has gone against the mold, and he's used something which people might deem to be a disability, but he wears it, and he's unashamed in saying, "This is who I am. This is my style. This is what makes sense for me as a leader." And he's not scared to be different, and I really like that. And I think we need to embrace such leaders. And I when I'm presenting to my players and when I'm coaching, I'm not afraid to to be vulnerable and to be different and quirky. And I think the players respond to that because there's a real truth to that, a real honesty.
Mm. Okay, and then lastly, it would be a poignant way to maybe end this Zoom video call. Maybe what are your expectations from the students coming back, specifically our sportsmen coming back? Because obviously we are inundated with media information, and it's all doom and gloom, and We don't know what's on the horizon. So for me personally, before you close us out, I think if all the kids and our students, if they come back, I think hopeful and positive, and just ignore um, what could be the possible scenarios of what the year looks like. For me, the most important thing is we don't have a crystal ball, but I'd love if they came back hopeful and they were positive. And I mean, it's exciting to realign your goals in a year that probably maybe will never be replicated again. So it'll be interesting to see that sort of mentality, especially of our students at Western Boys High. I just hope they come back hopeful and obviously positive. And obviously, we're in a unique position where we all in it together. But for me, we have to make sure that we are doing everything to make sure we salvage this year and make it into something that will be memorable, regardless of what that landscape looks like, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Um, I think if the longer we've gone on in lockdown, the more the mind has taken a shift and there's been more of an acceptance of the situation we find ourselves in. I think when it first started, it was really tough because we've got a really good group who are really excited. And I mean, we've spent a lot of time in our goals and who we are. And it's been a great preseason. We felt strong and fit and ready. But yeah, life doesn't always isn't convenient, and it's, oh, well done, you've worked really hard, so you don't always get that reward.
Absolutely.
And if anything, we're always telling them about playing heads up rugby and being adaptable and what's going to happen if in the first minute of the game you take a hit to the nose, or you're going to just lie down and, oh, this is going to be a tough game. I don't know if I want to play so much. Well, now we have an opportunity more than ever to actually practice what we constantly talk about. We have culture sessions where we talk about resilience and being selfless and being positive and being a good man. And it's all great in theory, but now is the opportunity to actually show it that we can put aside rugby, and rugby is important to us, but there are way more important things than rugby. So it's about really just showing, yes, we love rugby and we're going to remain positive. We're going to remain positive, but we're going to wait and we're going to live every day and be in the day, and take that for what it's worth. What happens after that, it's not in our control. But what is in our control is our attitude, and you speak about hope and being positive, and that's the things that we need to focus on, and we need to practice what we preach. And that comes from me as well, because for the first 2-3 days I was like, oh, what about our dream team? And I felt sorry for myself for a long time. But yeah, I can't be that guy. I've got to practice what I preach.
Yeah, it's a unique time that we'll obviously always remember, but it gives us a unique opportunity to be unified as a sports department, as a academic staff. This unity amongst the school, where everyone's trying to help everyone. This is the time where we'll see growth and we'll see positivity, and maybe we'll learn a lot about each other, working maybe a little bit closer together. Although maybe social distancing doesn't allow that, but yeah, we all see bigger picture, which is the most important thing, and we all want to be of service to someone else, and we all want to make sure that, especially whatever the end of the year or the rest of the year looks like, there will be some glimmer of hope and maybe some happiness at the end of the rainbow. And we understand, obviously, the bigger pictures. A lot of people have lost their lives, and we hope this tragedy never happens again. But we have been blessed to be with our family, even though at times maybe it's too much in lockdown and you need your quiet, especially with a 2-year-old. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we'll never get this time back that we've had in this 8 weeks where we've had to spend good quality time with friends and family. And I think if that doesn't excite you to get going and to get back into action with new goals and new ambitions, then nothing will excite you. So I'm sure everyone are like horses trying to get out the gates. Um, so yeah, let's see what happens down the line. But thanks very much for chatting to me, Jobs. And obviously, let's see what happens down the line.
You never have to thank me for chatting to you, but you're very welcome.
Take care. Have a good day, Jobs. Bye for now.
All right, you too. Cheers.